So the warm theme continues, maybe not quite as warm as it has been in the last couple of days across parts of northern Spain and southern France, but warm nonetheless and increasingly wet across the British Isles. Thanks for clicking on to the Thursday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Hope everybody is well thus far. Here in the north of Scotland, just above Inverness, it has been a thoroughly wet day, and we have seen a lot of rain across many portions of the British Isles, stretching all the way from the north coast to the south coast. Thunderstorms and heavy rainfall was a feature across southern areas through the course of this morning, and then as we've progressed through the day, that area of heavy rain and thunderstorms has progressed northwards as well. But back on the 18th of October, so a couple of days ago, we've seen a temperature as high as 35.8 Celsius in Spain, which I believe for Laha, I don't know how to pronounce that actually, but the temperature it was a record 35.1 at Granada Airport as well, and temperatures as high as 33.8 in France. 9 stations recorded above 32 degrees Celsius, and we had, I believe, 51 stations above 30 Celsius. 38 degrees was recorded in Morocco. And of course, when you've got temperatures as high as 38 in Morocco, and you've got this kind of setup where the trough, a deep trough at that, is positioned to the southwest of the UK, and we've got a ridge core centered over Italy, you're literally creating a perfect channel for warm air from Africa, from Morocco, Algeria, all the way up through Spain into the south of France, where we've seen some ridiculous warmth in recent times, and we're seeing the warmth push up into the UK as well. Record breaking for the UK? No, it isn't. But certainly down across the southwest of France, northeastern Spain as well, we've seen record breaking temperatures. That's for sure. Of course, you go back, I can't remember the year off the top of my head, but there was a 29.9 Celsius recorded on the first of October, which was the hottest ever recorded temperature in the UK for October. So a long way off that, of course. 20 degrees, 19, 20 degrees has been the highest this month so far, or certainly in the last week or so. So you can see the situation as we've got strong core of high pressure over Italy, strong core of low pressure in the southwest of the UK. And what essentially is happening at the moment is we've got systems that are dropping out of Greenland into the trough, developing into new areas of low pressure. The existing area of low pressure is kind of getting bumped up towards the UK, brings spells of rain, longer spells of rain, thunderstorms as well, because we're pulling in that warm, humid air as well. You're increasing the instability within the atmosphere, hence why we're getting more lift within the atmosphere to produce showers, thunderstorms, and very gusty winds locally as well. But we've got, this is the current situation here. So we've got that area of low pressure bringing heavy rainfall, northern England, southern portions of Scotland. We've got a new system that is now winding up to the southwest of the UK. That is going to be the weekend weather maker. And we've got a system just to the south of Greenland that will eventually drop into the trough where the position of this low is, and then eventually this low will move into the position almost of the what we've got bringing the heavy rainfall at the moment here. So you get the overall idea that energy comes out of the north, drops into the base of the trough, all the while these systems are spinning away. We're pulling that warmer out of Africa into the UK, hence the very mild temperatures. As we progress through the course of this weekend, you can see the situation. This new low dumbbells down into the trough, develops into a fairly mature area of low pressure. Then that gets lifted northwards into the UK. Why is it getting lifted north? It's because we've got that strong area of high pressure over Italy, over central portions of Europe, that is forcing these systems to drop down. Of course, when you've got that trough base position to the west of Iberia, these systems drop down. It almost kind of forces the air to pile up. It develops the area of low pressure, deepens it, and then it gets kind of kicked to the northeast of the UK thanks to that high position over Europe here. So you get the overall rough idea as to what's going on. We've also got a fairly persistent area of high pressure over the west northwest Atlantic that is kind of almost creating this kind of shoot effect. It's like a slide, so to speak, and these systems are just dropping down into that slide and then getting kicked off to the northeast. So that is the overall setup here, and we'll continue to see this messy theme going on. Eventually, this is as we push towards the very end of the month, and I showed you yesterday the the definite outlier, but the potential for a northerly discharge of air with all sorts of cold, even snow coming into the British Isles here. An outlier, but you notice here the latest run of the model. So this is of course the the 6Z run for this morning. You can see here it still flirts with that idea, but nowhere near as extreme as what yesterday's model run did. So we're going to see this back and forth taking place overall. But looking at the upcoming 7 days, this is of course the setup that we've got. Then we've got the following 7 days. We still have area of low pressure, dominating the UK pattern. This is off the CFSV2, of course. What happens is you notice that we start to lose the area of high pressure up towards Iceland. We're replacing that with low pressure. We're seeing the core of the high that is currently over Italy through the upcoming 7 days. That gets lifted north as well. So we're seeing a fundamental change in the overall pattern, where basically the trough core and the ridge core is kind of getting lifted further north. So that is the interesting change in the overall setup here. For the following week, it looks as if high pressure becomes the dominant player, and we'll wait and see what happens with that, because it looks as if some of the modelling is now starting to try and build high pressure over the UK and over much of Europe during the first week of November. So we'll watch this space, certainly. Rainfall wise, compared to normal upcoming week, you can see, of course, the focus of the heaviest rainfall being over the south and southwest of both Ireland and the British Isles, northern France as well. The following 7 day period, still wetter than normal, so that takes us into the month of November, and then high pressure seen by the model brings a drier theme overall, which is quite interesting. We'll need to keep an eye on that to see if that has any sort of merit. Finally, I made mention about the stratospheric polar vortex and the potential for something slightly interesting showing up, certainly over the next wee while. You can see as I play through the loop, it remains strong. It is expected to become stronger with the core temperature dropping from minus 73, minus 74 down into the minus 80s. But notice here that it's kind of almost hanging towards Greenland, towards Scandinavia, towards the UK. That if it couples with the tropospheric polar vortex, that to me, folks, would indicate that we're seeing a positive Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation during the final couple of weeks or week or so of October on into the month of November. The very end of this loop, though, there is hints at 10 HPA at least of warmer air trying to push towards the polar vortex. Look at this here, right at the very end of the loop. It's as if there's some sort of warming trying to push the polar vortex here, but certainly it's nothing really, particularly noteworthy, but it's something that we at least need to keep an eye on, because at this time of the year you don't typically expect to see the polar vortex being attacked. You tend to find that later down the road. So, and that, of course, if it did have merit and it had other things coming together, sometimes that can eventually lead to a colder possibility later down the road. But certainly through the remainder of October, possibly into the month of November, it looks, generally speaking, as if the warm theme is going to continue. Whether it remains as wet as it is at the moment, that's open to question. But we will continue to watch this day by day and see exactly what takes place But I think cold is, of course, growing as you would expect it to, and over the eastern portions of Europe, we are going to start to see that taking place. You can see here off the GFS increasing the snowfall across Scandinavia. You notice that. Also, parts of European Russia as well is starting to see the snowfall coming as well. So, winter is getting closer, despite the fact that we're so mild at the moment. Winter is gathering across the northern portions of the hemisphere. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'll be back in the next day or so with more. Bye for now.